Howdy, my name is Captain Jeff Archer, and I'm one of the staff members who was lucky enough to be selected to attend the 2015 Texas A&M Corps of Cadets International Excursion to Georgia and Armenia. While in country, we got the opportunity to experience many exciting activities, including visiting early churches, monasteries, and temples, learning about the geopolitical landscape from the country's leading experts, having the opportunity to hang out with local military academy students, and to experience the beautiful cities, countryside, and mountains of Georgia and Armenia. In this video, we hope to give you a small taste of the amazing opportunity that we experienced, and by the end, I'll guarantee you want to visit for yourself.
So on our way to Armenia, we rode through lots of beautiful landscapes, riding through the mountains. It was very gorgeous. And we stopped by on the halfway point at our first restaurant for Armenian food, which was Get Up, and it was fabulous. It was awesome to sit and eat together as a family setting, and the food was delicious. It wasn't really a different taste, but a different style, which we really enjoyed. And the place was absolutely gorgeous. There was live music, and just getting to know each other, everyone on the trip at this time was amazing.
One of the evenings we were in Yerevan, we took a group walking tour with a guide. We went all around town. We got to see all the different areas and the different styles of architecture, and probably the most challenging part was the walk up the 500 plus steps of the cascade. But I think of all the things we did there, that was the most worth it to me, was being able to stand at the top and look at Mount Ararat and see the border and get to kind of share that as a group. It was a really, it was a touching experience.
While visiting Yerevan, Armenia, we got to visit the Caucasus Institute. That for me, as a researcher of political conflict, was absolutely fantastic and was amazing. We got to sit and discuss with leading political experts in the country some of the conflicts that have been in the historical past of Armenia and also other countries in the Caucasus regions. The students were able to ask questions and really able to engage and understand really thoroughly and in depth the conflicts that have presided in those countries for quite some time now.
We also visited the Armenian Genocide Museum in Yerevan, which is a very sad place. It really got you right here. It was just horrible to see the tragedy and all the people that had died, and just because of their religion. And I thought it was really cool how it brought together the whole country together. You'd see like 1915 throughout the city, and there's flowers everywhere, people remembering it, because the anniversary is coming up here pretty soon.
We went to the Arat brandy factory a few days ago in Armenia, and we got to have a tour of the whole brandy factory. They showed us everything of how it's made, the whole process from the wood being made for the barrels to the barrels actually being made, and then the brandy being put into the barrels, and we saw the barrels sitting there as the brandy was fermenting, and that was a really unique experience. And as we were leaving the brandy factory, you could see Mount Ararat across the border in Turkey, and it's so beautiful.
So we saw 3 different Armenian churches, and one of the churches that we saw was the oldest church in the area. They were all really beautiful, but the oldest church was the coolest because it had a bunch of different relics from a bunch of different saints, and they even had the wood of the cross that Jesus was crucified on, and they even had the spear that pierced Jesus' side when he was crucified. I think that was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. And then later in the day, we went to this restaurant that had Western Armenian food, which is more Middle Eastern if you've never had it. And we learned how they make lavash, which is the traditional bread. That was really cool.
Tbilisi was an amazing city. It's something that, as an American, you don't often think that you want to take travels to go to Georgia, but everyone truly should. This city, whether it's in the daytime or by night, is lively, it's vibrant, and it's full of culture, and it's full of friendly people. People are very hospitable, and when you're standing in the city and you look around, there's gorgeous architecture that some is new and some is old. You see Soviet architecture, you see modern architecture, and everything before and after. It is truly outstanding, and I would heavily recommend anyone to visit Tbilisi.
And I'm going to talk to you about the Georgian Defense Academy. While we were there, we got to see how the cadets live and basically how they're trained. While we were there, we got to tour their facilities. The freshmen or the first year cadets got to live in these open style barracks with tons of bunks, and a lot of them had all of their stuff neatly lined up. Their shoes were all polished. We got to see the progression from freshman to sophomore and junior to senior rooms. Their classrooms were pretty modern. Most of their technology was modern. They had awesome facilities, had an obstacle course and basketball courts and a soccer or an indoor soccer field kind of thing. And after we'd done the tour, most of the A&M cadets, or us and the Armenian or Georgian cadets, we played some basketball, did some pull-up competitions, and stuff like that.
In Gori, we visited the Stalin Museum. We got to see where he grew up, what his house was like, and also the train. that was like a super heavy train that he took around all throughout Europe and Russia and it's really interesting to see where he grew up and what he was about and how he came to power and stuff.
While in Tbilisi, the students were able to visit the Georgian American University, which is fantastic because it is a upcoming Western university that is training students to think of Western mindset and also is teaching very important subject in today's geopolitical atmosphere. While at the Georgian American University in Tbilisi, we were able to engage and discuss some of Georgia's conflicts with some leading researchers at the university. It was interesting getting to see their perspectives and getting to see their opinions, as they often contrast and are very different, and it's very good for students to be able to see different perspectives and be able to really understand the conflicts from all different angles, to be able to understand where the world truly is standing today. While visiting Tbilisi, Georgia, we got to not only see the beautiful city architecture, but we also got to experience lots of local cuisine. Both while visiting Armenia and Georgia, this local cuisine was something that we got to sample quite frequently. And in Tbilisi, a few of us, we got to go and have a bit of a cooking tour and a bit of a class of how to make the famous local khinkali, which is a dumpling that is filled with meat, and it's very fantastic. It is delicious, something that we truly don't have in America. After a wonderful day in Tbilisi, we packed up and we headed to TAMU, Georgia, where we took a fast train that only took a couple of hours and was quite comfortable, and we were there in no time.
When we were in Batumi, a group of us went to the Black Sea and got to swim at the beach, and it was the coldest water I have ever been in my whole life. And we got to go with some local students around town and see the architecture and the gorgeous fountains and the different styles of all the hotels and the cafes, and it was neat to see a little bit of their everyday life. Recently we visited the Batumi State Maritime Academy, and that was definitely a really neat experience for me to get to see how the cadets there study and learn maritime trade compared to how we do in Galveston. The students were all really nice. They had us pair up individually with a student and they walked us around the facility. We visited the engineering labs, the classrooms, the simulator buildings. The testing facilities that they have for their certifications and training is amazing. They have all brand new transit systems. I think they said the facility had been built for a year. It was really amazing. A lot of it was similar and sometimes even better than at home, so that was definitely a neat experience.
The trip we took into the Svaneti area was really interesting for the students because they got to see a totally different side of the country than they had previously, seeing some of the major cities and metropolitan areas, and then kind of taking that trip through the countryside up into the mountains and being able to see those mountain communities and really get a glimpse into how people have lived in the area for thousands of years, really helped contrast the experience that they had had thus far. We got to stay at a beautiful farm that was set in a very nice valley. And the following day, we spent some time on an amazing hike up into the mountains. And it was just a really great experience for the students. They got to do a lot of team building and kind of navigating some of the obstacles that they were presented with up in the mountains, but then just seeing some of the beautiful sights that Georgia has to offer was one of the most rewarding experiences, I think, for all of the students during the trip. So I think that they really learned from it, that they really grew during that part of the visit, and I think that they enjoyed it a lot.
And we also saw the traditional homes of the Svaneti people in terms of how they used to live. And we went into a museum that had one of those houses, and it still had everything in place: the chairs, the tables, the place where they cooked the food. It was so well preserved. It was amazing. And then we saw the towers that went with the houses. They were kind of like landmarks and places where they sat when there was a war or really bad weather. And they were really tall. All these towers are about 1,000 years old, and I think there's about 400 of them all across the area. It was really amazing.
In Kutaisi, one of the activities that we got to participate in was taking a boat tour through a set of wondrous caves. These caves, ancient as they are, were absolutely wonderful and marvelous, and were just absolutely outstanding, full of beauty, full of natural beauty.
The trip was really an amazing learning experience in exposing the students to a variety of cultures and situations that they just would never have had the chance to see or learn from in their education in the United States. So they all really benefited from it and enjoyed it immensely.
It is something that is absolutely amazing here in Georgia. Everywhere you go, there's beauty. It's different, whether it's mountains, whether it's caves, whether it's the morning sunrise, whether it's cities that are lit up by night. Georgia is a place that you want to come to.